Okay, you've come to find out about what I do in terms of helping people to find, keep, and regain their mojo. So if you look at that frog, you might relate to sometimes you're holding on and other times you're not. And how do we get into that state where we're not holding on quite so desperately, which of course is sometimes how our lives feel in various different areas. So today's plan in this very short video is to talk you through the intention. So first of all, is to discover when I talk about Mojo, what do I mean? What is it? What is the coaching? Why does it exist? And how it might apply to you. Secondly, we're going to find out why you're actually watching this video or why you're engaging with this whole concept of Mojo. We're going to talk about Mojo, and then we're going to do a test drive. So because this is a video, I'm not actually you'll be doing the test drive for yourself in your own time. You can pause the video and then rejoin it if you'd like to. And then we're going to look at various options that might be available to you. And then I want to tell you a little bit about how I've helped other people. Okay, so let's now look at why we're here. So why are you on this video? Why are you even taking the time to do this? I guess, you know, if you're a little bit like me, you only take action when there's actually a need. So there's a guy jumping into a freezing cold ice lake. If you haven't do it, I absolutely recommend it. But that's not what we're doing right here today. So why are you here? What is your burning need that has you show up here? And I really want you in this process to get uncomfortable and really feel the discomfort of what you need. Because unfortunately, whether we like it or not, pain is a far greater motivator than pleasure. So why are you here? Could it be in some of the areas of frustration, focus, lacking purpose, procrastination, self-doubt, lacking focus, courage, control, others? It could be something very specific. You might want to be preparing for a speech and you're really nervous, or you want to take it to the next level, or it might be you behind on your sales and you want to be more effective in your sales. Now, if you can make it as specific as possible, it's going to be far more powerful for you. Okay, so what is it? I want you to choose that main area of pain that you're experiencing. So let's talk about Mojo. So isn't this no Mojo or Nojo? Because in order to talk about Mojo, let's talk about what it's not, right? Which is what this is. And we can all relate to that hideous mask-wearing, confusing world that we were in. And actually, in many ways, all COVID did was it kind of, I think, highlighted those areas in our lives where we were just kind of coasting along and taking things for granted. So I believe that everything that happens for a very good reason. But, you know, you and I can relate, right? This is when we're in a no-Joe state. So you want your full mojo. You want to be full out living your life as best you possibly can, don't you? So what do I mean by mojo? Now, if I said to you, what is mojo to you, you'd have some ideas. And what's fascinating when I ask people this is everyone has their own answer, and every answer is absolutely perfect. So what is having mojo? Well, for me, it's about connection, being with other people. It's about laughter, feeling like anything's possible, a world of magic and extraordinary things. It could be being calm, centered, relaxed. It could be engaged in really interesting, deep and meaningful conversations or light-hearted conversations. I define mojo as to find, keep, and regain one's peach, passion, energy, authenticity, confidence, and most importantly, humor. Because when we're having fun, we really are in our mojo, aren't we? So when I first came across coaching about 23 years ago, I heard the story of an athlete you may know of called Linford Christie. And Linford Christie won a whole bunch of gold medals. He was a really, really fantastic sprinter. And the story goes that he finished his race And his coach was a guy called Ron Rodden, who in those days in amateur athletics had been an assistant laboratory technician. But he had a way, he could see things that perhaps the athletes who knew him might be well advised to see for themselves. So he finishes the world record, he finishes the world championship race in Helsinki, wins a gold medal. They do a debrief afterwards, and they kind of high five and they congratulate each other. And then Ron says to Linford, you slowed down when you got to the line. Now, when I heard that, the lights just came on for me. And I realized in my life, there were so many areas where I slowed down when I got to the line. There were so many areas where I just didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't see what I couldn't see, and the lights came on. And that was really my introduction to coaching. And I've been doing coaching and personal development, leadership development work for the last few decades. I can't see myself doing anything else because I'm always learning. And with the clients that I work with, it's the same for them as well. So let's talk now about what it is, how it works, and is it for you in terms of, Mojo Coaching, right? So I keep it to a simple 5-step process. And the process is, number one, let's have a goal out there in the future. So what is it that you really want to achieve? Whatever it is, a short-term goal, a long-term goal, but something that you really want to achieve. And then secondly, what's the purpose of that goal? Why do you want it? And we drill down into what is actually going on under the surface. Because when we get there and we get to the guts and the heart, then life becomes an awful lot easier. Because then we can have a plan, right? And when we're clear about the outcome and we're clear why we're doing it, there's a plan, and then there are some tools, some processes that we can learn along the way. And then finally, integrity. And integrity, really in its most simple form, is honoring yourself, honoring your word. It comes from the Latin integris, meaning whole and complete and in perfect working order. So a building that has integrity is not going to fall down, right? And that's the same with us in our lives. If we make promises and we don't follow up on them, there's a breach of integrity. And until we get that cleaned up, we're not going to be thriving and moving forward optimally. So the 5 coaching essentials. This came from a piece of global research done some years ago, and they took all the various coaches from lots of different backgrounds, from psychology to business to systems thinking, and they found out that really what people want are the following. What they want is a connection. They didn't care who the coach was or what their experience was. They wanted to have a connection. Secondly, the coach needed to listen. Thirdly, hold the client accountable for what they say they're going to do. Challenge their limiting assumptions. We're constantly making assumptions, and unfortunately, most of them are limited as human beings. And then championing the client, getting behind them and really cheering them on and backing them when appropriate. So let's take a test drive, right? So what I want you to do is it's a model called GROW. First of all, right here in this moment, identify a goal, something you would love to achieve. Make it SMART, which you might have heard of: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, yet challenging, and time-based. Now, pick something that's kind of low-hanging fruit. How do I get up in the morning? Because you might be struggling to get up. How do I get back to the gym? How do I make that sales call? How do I have that difficult conversation? Okay. So think about that now, and then after each one, press the pause button and then move on to the next one. Okay, the next part is, what's the reality, right? So I might say that I want to run, a marathon in 3 hours. But if the last time I went for a run was 10 years ago, maybe not, right? So there needs to be a healthy dose of actually looking at ourselves in the mirror and being honest and real about the situation. So do that now. And then the third is, well, what are the options? Well, in that marathon example, I can get myself a personal trainer, a running trainer. I can set myself a smaller goal. I could, you know what, today I could go for a 1 kilometer run. God, that would be progress. So there's actually often many more options than we think. And often in coaching, what happens is because you're being listened to, and it's not a friend or your partner or whatever, it's someone who's really interested in you getting to where you need to get to. And then finally, what next? What's the plan? What are you going to do as a result of this grow process? So if we were engaging with each other, we would be doing that. But I hope that that piece is useful for you. And then the question is, okay, well, what are you going to do? Right now, the chances are possibly, because no one's saying, hey, you said you were going to do that last week. How did you get on? Which is a very large part of the accountability piece of coaching. The chances are it might just be a good idea, right? So if this resonates with you, now would be a really good opportunity to reach out to me and go, hey, I saw your video. I identified this goal. Can we talk about this, please? I'm not in the sales game. I'm just in the game of putting stuff out there. And if it resonates with you, come on down. Let's talk about it. Okay, now let me talk about the offerings. So I draw these rather simple but probably understandable models. So the first is the Porsche, second is the Audi, then the Mazda, the Combi, the bicycle. Okay, so you can press the pause button and check out these various modules. You can see at the top, ranging from the bicycle all the way through to the Porsche. You can see the prices at the top there. And then hopefully, you know, if you're interested in what I've got to say so far, and you look at those, you might be going, yeah, I'd like to do that, or I can afford that, or let me have a conversation with someone. I just have a conversation. You know, this is me saying, this is what I do, but it's actually not really what I do. What I do is what we do when we're in the engagement of the coaching. So have a look at that and then come back to me with any questions. So yeah, I think that's probably the best way of doing that. Okay. Now, let me talk a little bit about those who I've helped. So this is one of my long-standing clients, JP Duminy, former South African cricketer and current South African batting coach at the time of this video. And JP came to me because he had heard about a course that I was running called the Courageous Public Speaking course. And a lot of the work that I do is about accessing courage, mojo, and getting out there, getting your message out there in the world. And he acknowledged he's a good speaker. He'd been on speaking courses, no problem. His kiss of death was when people would say, hey, JP, can you say a few words? It's like, oh my God, like, you know, a heart beating, pulse in his ears. What the hell am I going to say? And so one of the many things that we worked on is that he wanted to give impromptu talks and just be calm about it, as opposed to getting kind of, you know, anxious or he didn't so much get anxious, but more like in his head, as opposed to just being relaxed. And what he recognized was he just needed to relax and not panic. And then what he found was the stories, the right stories, found him. Through being calm and focused, the right story would pop up. Because when you've represented your country and you spent an entire lifetime playing cricket, you're going to have lots and lots and lots of stories. Now, just a quick note on stories, that's him, but you and me both, you know, regular people, you know, we all have amazing stories, and storytelling is a huge part of my work. So you might not think you're much of a storyteller, but I can assure you, you are, and you have amazing stories. But unfortunately, most of us are just not trained to deliver stories. So other people are always so much better. Have you noticed? Okay, so next guy is a guy called Luke Vollenschlager, who's a property entrepreneur. Amazing story, this guy. We found each other on LinkedIn, and he wanted to get more focus in his life. He tried various things and it wasn't really working. And then we went through our time together, and what became clear was that he needed to focus on what he needed to do. And he produced some amazing results. And one of them, unexpectedly, was that he broke a world record and lost 17 kilograms. He broke a world record in a sport he didn't even know about. And that sport was indoor rowing. How it came about was he was doing on an indoor rowing machine, and someone said, hey, you know, your time's like 5 seconds off the world record. He's like, oh, really? And again, at the time of speaking, he's broken, I think, 8 world records. Amazing achievement. And the final person that I'll share with you is a guy called Steve. And what he started the coaching for was to be better at time management. What he realized pretty clear was it wasn't time management. It's actually his unclear communication was creating massive leakages in terms of how he actually managed his time. And then he's produced recently his highest ever revenue month, and then month on month since then. So there's a short presentation. I hope it's useful for you. Please get back. Let me know what you think. If you drop me a mail, I will send you the PDF of this presentation, and also the spreadsheet which includes the spreadsheet of the costings and so on and so forth. But the most important thing you can do is just reach out. Let's have a conversation. I'm not going to sell you anything, pressure you into anything. Just have a conversation and see where it goes. Okay, any questions? Bang them out to me. Post a comment in the box below if you'd like to, and see you on the other side.